Hi, I'm Antonio Mora. You've probably seen some version of it on TV or in the movies. U.S. intelligence agents become aware of a plot against a major city, commandeer security cameras, use facial recognition to identify the suspects, capture them, and save the day. Makes it seem like facial recognition technology is the best thing since sliced bread, right? Then why did San Francisco, the heart of the technology revolution, recently ban use of the software by police and other agencies? Why are civil liberty groups so strongly opposing it? And in a Congress that's bitterly divided, how did Democrat Elijah Cummings and Republican Jim Jordan end up on the same page in hearings about facial recognition? Let's look at the objections first. Most of us have an instinctive issue with intrusive government, the big brother of Orwell's 1984. And there is little doubt that expansive use of facial recognition would give governments unprecedented power to monitor what we do, possibly threatening our privacy and First Amendment rights. Do we want the government to be able to find us anywhere at any time? I don't think so. Shouldn't we be able to pray where we want, attend an AA meeting, or peacefully protest without the government knowing? Sure. But my problem with that argument is that most of us have already given up any expectation of privacy. If you carry a smartphone, it's easy to track you wherever you go. Also, many urban areas and workplaces are so packed with security cameras that our movements are constantly being recorded. That's legal. We have no expectation of privacy in a public place. Truth is, we barely have an expectation of privacy in our own homes in some cases. If you don't close the curtains, anyone has the right to photograph you naked if they're doing so from a public street. Another criticism is that current software isn't ready for prime time and can misidentify people. Again, a valid point. Performance by different technologies can vary dramatically, sometimes being wrong more often than right. It can also reinforce biases because studies show current software performs most poorly when it comes to identifying women and people of color. This isn't just a theoretical issue. Sri Lankan police misidentified a Brown University student as a suspect in the wave of terrorist bombings there on Easter Sunday. Her picture was put on TV and she received death threats. Imagine if you were confused with a sex offender and publicly accused of that. Good luck getting your reputation back or excising any mistaken media posts from Google searches. Like most technologies, facial recognition has two sides. It could be misused by a rogue government official, or worse, systematically by a repressive government. Facial recognition is an important part of China's surveillance state. The software could undoubtedly lead to violations of human rights if sold to authoritarian governments. But are we going to oppose something just because some foreign bad guys might get their hands on it? Just ban the technology's export. In any case, if the Chinese have it, do you think they'll have any moral compunction that will stop them from selling it? The cat's out of the bag. On the other hand, proponents argue that facial recognition technology can live up to its Hollywood fanfare, helping police find crime suspects or missing children. It already has. Authorities used facial recognition to identify the suspect in the mass shooting at an Annapolis newspaper in 2018. The FBI reportedly conducts an average of more than 4,000 scans monthly, and at least 1/4 of police departments already have direct or indirect access to the technology. Well-known constitutional law expert Jonathan Turley argues that, quote, it is ridiculous to deny the value of this technology in securing airports and border installations, and that there is no doubt there is a public safety value to the technology. Believing that, one school district in New York defied state authorities and became the first in the nation to have its public schools use facial recognition. Could it have stopped the Parkland shooter? He fired his first shot 2 minutes after exiting an Uber. He was banned from the campus, so his picture was likely available. Proponents will argue the software could have saved lives at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Opponents would say the opposite, that there simply wouldn't have been enough time to react. Early attempts at using facial recognition at airports is working to speed up the process, and wouldn't you want it to give you a heads up if a known threat might be boarding your plane? And there are many other ways the technology could be used to protect people. So, how do Americans feel about it? Scientific surveys are hard to come by and are sometimes contradictory. The most recent, from the Center for Data Innovation, shows Americans are willing to give up privacy for safety, strongly opposing strict limitations on facial recognition technology. However, a Brookings Institution study found the opposite, with people opposing the use of facial recognition in retail stores, airports, or stadiums, while only favoring it in schools. A Morning Consult survey disagreed with Brookings, finding that 64% of all Americans supported its use by law enforcement. Support was higher among whites, but majorities of African Americans and Latinos favored it as well. To conclude, we have often seen how new technologies surpass the ability of lawmakers to properly regulate them. In the case of facial recognition, they need to do better and move quickly to craft regulations that acknowledge its usefulness and prevent abuses, instead of focusing on bans that might prevent the development of software that could be used for the public good.